Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Today is Monday and it's November 5th, and I guess we ought to talk about the topic that I think that everybody's been talking about for the last week. It is probably one of the most horrific disasters we've ever had on Long Island because I'm from there, and that is Hurricane Sandy. Before I get into Hurricane Sandy, I want to first start off by saying that my heart and condolences go out to everyone who was affected by Hurricane Sandy. I know the storm started last week before Halloween, ironically enough, because, the disaster happened to happen on a scary holiday, which was kind of bizarre. But I want to first start off by saying that for those people who lost their homes and they're out of electricity and looking for food, believe me when I tell you, I hope that everybody's getting the relief that they need. And for the people who lost shelter, I hope that they keep God in their heart and know that we are going to survive this horrific tragedy. I'm not going to lie on you, Hurricane Sandy was the worst storm I've ever been through, with Irene and Hurricane Gloria. I know Hurricane Katrina was a very horrific storm too, but that happened in another state. It was just the idea that, I want to talk about a lot of things that happened with Hurricane Sandy. First of all, like I said before, my heart and condolences to people who lost their homes, particularly in Breezy Point, that's over by Queens. The whole place is just demolished. I mean, you go there and it's just not only heart wrenching to see people lose their homes, but it's also heart wrenching to see people crying. You see children outside crying about, where's my bed, mommy? And you see buildings that are on fire. Like, you wouldn't think like it was this storm was that bad, but believe me, I'm gonna give you an true Hollywood story about how bad Sandy was. When Sandy hit our area in Long Island, I remember the very first day me and my wife were trying to get things together, and we were trying to get food and supplies ready for the storm. But I'm gonna be honest with you, we didn't really prepare as much because we didn't think it was that bad. Because Hurricane Irene, everybody said that was going to be a bad storm. But Sandy was a complete surprise. The day the storm hit, the lights went out immediately, and we sat in the dark for almost 6 days straight. There were people who live in another apartment complex, they're still out of electricity. For the past 6 days, it's just nothing but total darkness at night, and in the daytime, people are losing their minds. It's almost like, you know, I don't mean to compare metaphors with television shows. It's kind of like The Walking Dead. Basically, crime was happening, people are looting, people are, fucking going around, complaining about something that you really can't do because you gotta wait for LIPA. That's basically an electric company that's supposed to send out trucks to make sure that you get your electricity. But I am telling you, it is so bad. I mean, I'll give you a day in the life. Just today, yesterday on Sunday, but the day before daylight savings was happening, the LIRR doesn't have no lights, so they have to rely posting paper. They basically have like a window board to kind of put what time is the train coming, like, if it comes every half an hour, if it comes every 40 minutes. They have to write it with a magic marker. The police are trying to maintain the crime in the street because there's so many vandalisms and so many people are, looting and stealing. But the biggest tragedy of all, and I'm sure you all know this, is the gas. I mean, the gas is so bad. I mean, people were carrying buckets and gas containers by the dozen, because you have to understand that Monday morning people have to go to work. So you don't want to lose your job on top of not getting gas. And I know everybody wants to blame President Obama, and let's cut that bullshit out too. President Obama had nothing to do with the storm. Let's stop that dumb shit too. If anything, I'm glad that he's helping, and whatever help we can get, we all need. Because let me tell you, There were stores. I mean, I like that, like 9/11, everybody was coming together, and it's sad when you see, people in the streets fighting for gas. People are like, shoving and pushing because, they have to get their cars out of the parking lot so they can get food for their family and get whatever supplies needed for their homes and for themselves. And the ones that didn't have homes had to go to Red Cross, and they had to sleep at a school. Some people had to sleep at church. I mean, it's just, you know what's sad about this whole thing is that I know a lot of people want to say, well, it's Long Island because everybody's rich there. Yes, it is true. A lot of people are rich over here in some areas, but that's just the stereotype. Believe me, this had nothing to do with rich or poor. This had to do with a horrific disaster that could happen to. This could have happened anywhere. It could have happened in California, Texas, in another country. It just has happened that it was in Long Island, and something. People lost homes. People are dead. Some people don't have power. There were people who were bringing supplies for their store. They can't even use those supplies because somebody stole the supplies. Like, for example, somebody brought bagels to a store and the whole fucking box was looted. Then they had to throw away newspapers because that's no good. Then they had to, go to the store and find out that all their dairy products, had to throw that shit in the garbage. So I'm just giving you examples of what it's been like for Hurricane Sandy. And like I said, anyone who's been through this, I hope and pray. And something else before I get to that, you know, like I said, keep God in your heart because that is the most important factor. I know that, in all this disaster, it's hard to do that, but something, the most important thing you also have to understand is that be grateful that you're alive and that you manage to hug your loved ones and you hug your wife and you hug your family and your children and whoever is in your world. To hug the people that you love. I mean, the point is that we survived this tragedy, and I'm speaking it from my point of view because believe me when I tell you, you got to help people and make them understand that what, it's okay. We're gonna get through this. And my final comment about Sandy, because I know a lot of people are talking about the election and talking about who's going to be our next president, which I will get to that. I will talk about that today as well. But for the most part, just tell yourself this, that when you go to work tomorrow, I know it's going to be complicated with the gas and everything else, but treat tomorrow as normal as you can because looking at this disaster is not going to change it. Go into this with saying to yourself, I'm alive and I want to get to work and I want to treat everything normal, which is hard to do because it's around us 24/7. I mean, people are just dying for their gas to get to their vehicles so they can get some help. People need a shelter because they lost everything in their home. People are trying to get to work and find out that if you're not on work at time, you might lose your job because of the transportation is so bad. So, the point I'm just trying to make is that when you wake up in the morning, don't focus on the negativity that the news media wants to promote. Focus on the fact that, what, your family's okay. If they're okay, I know emotionally it's draining, but at the same time, go into Hurricane Sandy with this thing saying, what, we survived this horrific storm. I hope we don't get another storm. I know we're supposed to get snow this weekend, but for the most part, go into this saying, what, this is a new week. I just want to get through this week and help my family and make a living and just hope and pray that this tragedy that we went through, we can get some relief and get some normalcy back into our lives. So before I make this conclusion, if anyone has any stories that they went through with Hurricane Sandy, hit me up. Otherwise, the point I'm just saying is very quite simply, we can survive this and we will survive this tragedy. We went through 9/11. We went through uh, Hurricane Katrina. We even went through some of the most horrific disasters in New York City. And believe me when I tell you, I mean, I remember when the DC sniper was going around and everybody had that fear. See, that's the problem. When you have fear, you got to overcome it with love. So, you know something? Go out there, help one another, and make sure that, don't go into a new week with just this headache. Go into a new week telling yourself that I'm optimistic that I'm going to make it through the next day. So hit me up with your comments. Tell me what you think. I hope to, hear from some of you. Like I said before, God bless everybody who survived Hurricane Sandy. And like I said, keep God in your heart because that's what's mostly important. Take care of yourselves. I hope to hear from you.